Hi, Star Stavak here of IgniteRadiance.com. I am your resident badass manifester, your life coach, transformation strategist, speaker. Listen, I want to talk to you today about my greatest manifestation to date. I mean, besides my husband and my children, right? But the greatest manifestation to date. So what started out as an evening of significant pain, I was not really wanting to attend a business networking meeting. I was in the middle of what I didn't know at the time was perhaps depression, thoughts and feelings of just despair. Nothing could lift me out of this place. And as I was walking out the door to attend this particular meeting, I went to my office right here to grab some business cards, and as I was leaving my office, my crystal ball caught my eye. This little crystal ball. And I decided that I would bring it with me to this event, and I decided that I was just going to play. We were going to play and have fun that night. I walked in. I cried the entire way there. That really ugly cry, like this, the tears just wouldn't stop. And my husband had pushed me out the door saying, you know what, Star, tonight's the night that other people are going to take care of you. You take care of everybody else. You care about everybody else. Tonight's the night that you get to have someone take care of you. And so I decided that he was perhaps right. It might be time for me. I'm a huge believer in receiving and allowing ourselves to receive. And I think it's an epidemic that women don't allow themselves to receive in so many ways, on so many levels. So this was just his way of reminding me of that and saying, get out there and absolutely allow yourself to receive from the friends who love you. And so I showed up, tried to make myself up in the car, but you couldn't hide those tears. You couldn't hide that pain. I walked in and my dear friend said to me, are you okay? And I said, no. I couldn't even say no. I think I just shook my head. And she said, do you want to go sit and talk? And I said, no, because I knew that if I did, then it would mean that I would sob in the corner uncontrollably and not be able to stop. And there was really no reason for, I couldn't point a finger at why the tears were there. They just were. And so I asked her if she would sit with me. And she said, can I buy you a glass of wine? And we stacked our table. We stacked our table with people we wanted to be with that night. And as I sat down, I said to the other ladies, I just really need to dream tonight. Will you play with me? And I put my crystal ball on the table and I said, listen, if we could do anything, if anything were possible, if this really had some sort of magic power, if it could grant a wish for you, if it could see into your future and know that amazing gifts are on the way, what would you see into it? What would you dream? What would you wish for? And I put the crystal ball on the table and I said, I want Paris, kid-free, for my 40th birthday. And that's what I asked for. And the crystal ball went around the table and the other women spoke into what it is that they wanted. And it got around to the woman who was sitting next to me. And she was absent for my big wish. She didn't hear me. And she went to go blow her nose in a designer packet of tissues. And on the designer packet of tissues from her little packet were stars and the Eiffel Tower. So everyone at the table erupted in laughter, and they're pointing it out to me because I didn't see it. I was, distracted by something else, and everyone pointed it out to me. Hey, Star, look, look, look. Look at our tissues. It's a sign. Stars, the Eiffel Tower. It's meant to be. You're meant to go to Paris. And it started a spark. Something was planted inside of me. I went home that night excited. I spoke to my husband, showed him the tissue, shared the story I just shared with you, and he said, being the practical, linear, amazing man that he is, who likes details, he likes to have all the facts laid out before him before he'll make a big leap. Whereas I'm the other way around. I'll say, this is amazing and we're going to make it happen and I don't know the solution, but here's how it's going to work. And he said, wouldn't that be great? I mean, Paris would be amazing. I would love to see that happen. But we have lots of obstacles. And Paris just isn't a reality or a possibility for us. And even when I said it out loud, sitting at the table that night, it felt really big. I felt this twinge of pain, of fear, of judgment, fear of saying it out loud and then failing and falling well short of it. I felt the rush of obstacles before me. I was still nursing a baby through the night. I still had kids waking me up. We had never been away from our children. We didn't have access to local childcare, anyone around here that could keep them overnight. No one is in the position around us to be able to do that. And so but anyway, I pushed through all of that and said it anyway. Even though it felt like it was kind of stuck, I forced it out of my throat and said it out loud. So I came home and my husband was like, "That's sweet, sweetheart," patted me on the back. "Nice job. That was sweet for you to think about Paris. And I'm glad that you had a fun night. I'm glad that you went." And he's not so condescending, but it was like that, it was like, but this isn't a reality we can really entertain. Well, later that week, we went to see some friends for dinner. These are friends we rarely see. I mean, maybe once every 6 months because they have a busy lifestyle and so do we, and it just is part of how it works. So we're out to dinner with them. This crystal ball is still in my purse, simply out of laziness. I haven't taken it out of my purse. And I'm laughing about how heavy my purse is because this crystal ball is really heavy. And they're catching on to my laughter. "What are you laughing about?" And then I tell them, "Well, I have a crystal ball in my purse, and wait till you hear this story." And I tell them the story I just told you about this tissue and the stars and how I just would love to go to Paris for my 40th birthday, kid-free. So my friend leans across the table and he says, "Star, you know that we have a timeshare in Paris, right?" "No, I didn't know this. Tell me more." He pulls out his smartphone and checks the app and looks at dates of availability. It's available January 9th through the 16th. Would that work? January 10th is my birthday. So of course January 9th through the 16th is exciting. And then he tells me that it's $120 for the week, 3 miles from the Eiffel Tower. And all of a sudden, with that little information, that resource, Paris became a possibility to my husband. It became more of a reality for us. And so we jumped and said, "Yes, we'll book your gift of, allowing us to use your timeshare points. And we'll pay for this even though we don't know whether or not we're going to get flights or if we don't know whether or not we're going to have childcare." And we started to do the homework, and I texted my dad and my stepmom and said, "Listen, this is what's possible, and would you be willing?" And they said, "Absolutely. We'll either come there or the kids can come here." And it was all going to work out. My husband, as he started looking for flight prices, found a flight direct out of Cincinnati and discovered that we had 50,000 SkyMile points that we had never used because we have 3 kids and we're not going anywhere. This is just the reality. All of these pieces started to unfold. And what I didn't understand at the time is that it was never about Paris. Paris was the catalyst that had to happen. It cracked me open. It gave me sacred, beautiful, special time with my husband one-on-one. We had adventures. I was reminded of how badass I really am. I was reminded of the gift of listening to and hearing that gentle whisper that is in my heart, calling me to something else. It reminded me of my job to get out of my own way to be able to make that happen and to simply believe. So while we're in Paris, which by the way, it trickled into, you guys, the ripple effect of that trip was just phenomenal. The weaning of my son happened while I had a magical weekend away in the woods by myself in the fall of that year before we went for our trip. And it was the first time I was ever away from all my babies. And I felt somewhat selfish and like I was putting everyone out, burdening them, right? This is what we do. This is how we trick ourselves from allowing ourselves to receive. We tell ourselves it's a burden on someone else if we're doing this. So that's what I did. While I was on my trip, my amazing adventure by myself, hiking over 20 miles in this gorgeous Red River Gorge area here, I received a text message from my babysitter who was with my son that one particular afternoon. I received a text message also from my stepmom and a text message from my husband. All of those messages said the same thing in different ways. Thank you for letting me experience this opportunity to be exactly where I am. And I heard it as, thank you for going away and letting me have the gift of being with your babies. They're such treasures. I really enjoy this time with them. Those were the messages. My husband, as a result, had time to do what he loved, what he wanted. He set up time with the babysitter. The kids went to Grandma and Grandpa's house in Michigan. It was, I cannot express to you how significant and how important it is for you to step out of that space of where you think you're needed beyond any reprieve for yourself, and to discover what happens on the other end of that. So the ripple effects of Paris, my relationship with my husband is somewhat of a love affair. I can't say that 2 years ago it was in significant jeopardy. There was a lot of fear and distrust and pain in our relationship. And Paris healed that in ways I could never have expected. If I would have won a trip to New York City or to Miami, I would have packed up the kids in the minivan and we would have just done it together. But because Paris was so magnificent and so grand, we couldn't necessarily afford to take the kids. It wasn't a kid family trip, right? It had to just be us. That was ours to experience. That was my big dream, my big wish to experience. That's what cracked me open. I'm sharing this message with you 1 year later. 1 year later from waking up in Paris on my 40th birthday, running 3 miles to the Eiffel Tower, tears in my eyes as she appeared, as I got to see this. And 3 miles back through magical streets and architecture, stopping in on a Sunday morning to a church service in one of the grand cathedrals in Paris, as I ran my way back, navigating through the streets and past metros. It was an adventure that I will keep with me for a lifetime. And what I'm inviting you to do now is to join me. Join me for a 5-day journey where I help you to uncover what is yours, to give you some of the tools to be able to manifest your crystal ball moment. I'll share with you the magnificence of my story and the intricate details and the lessons that are in there and the reasons for why Paris happened to me. It's all crystal clear now. In fact, I share these intimate details at in-home parties. I share them at Badass Manifestation parties, BAM parties, where we come together and connect, where there's community and support and accountability and encouragement. And these dreams get to be shared in a safe and sacred way, where they're held and felt, where we can expand upon them, build them out, grow them richer, deeper. Okay, so anyway, I want you to join me. 5 days. We're going to do some badass manifesting together. This is my gift to you because on my birthday, I have wishes for you. Are you ready? Are you set? What do you want to say? Anything? Anything? What is today?
Mommy's birthday.
And where were you last year for Mommy's birthday? Where were you? Where was?
In your house and your dad away
And where did I go?
to Paris.
And was it fun when Mommy was in Paris? Yeah. What did you do when Mommy was in Paris?
I started climbing up a wall.
You were climbing up a wall?
Yeah.
Where? Where at? Where did you go for when Mommy was in Paris?
I climbed up too.
You did?
Yeah, then I hurt myself hard on
Oh.
my finger.
That's interesting. Did you go to Grandma and Grandpa's house? Yes. These guys for my birthday, my stepmother helped to film a video of them singing me happy birthday. One of the most treasured gifts I think I could have ever received. It was such a beautiful, and I loved coming home to my kids. I was so excited to come home to my babies. We laughed as we were in Amsterdam. My husband surprised me with a special place in Amsterdam to stay, and we woke up there just saying, all right, we're ready. We're just really ready. We're ready for this adventure to be over, to go home to our babies. I love you, and I look forward to sharing this space with you. Big hugs. Bye.